Santa Cruz is really awesome because the areas are kind of split like a pie. The center of the city, is where the assistants and the, office elders are. And then the way that the city is, if you look on the map, there's rings that loop almost in a perfect circle around the city. So those anillos is a lot of times the different boundaries of the mission. So you would have, from one all the way to, the 13th ring is what they would call it, the Los Anillos. And so we would, when you would serve your mission, you would be between, Anillo 6 y 7, and that would be your area. And it was kind of just the 12 stakes, I believe, in the either 8 or 12 stakes in Santa Cruz would be kind of split up between those rings, just from the center of the city all the way out, kind of in as like a pie, as slices in the pie. And my first three transfers was, not necessarily ever in the heart of the city, but close enough where they were. There was plenty of people. It was not so spread out like some of the other areas. You would have to walk, blocks and blocks for your houses. But this first area was pretty concentrated. You could walk from one end to your area to the other in maybe 20 minutes. There's no bikes. There are some micros, which are like the public transportation little buses. And you would just, know the routes. The number 66 would take you to this part of the area. The number, 43 would take you there. You learn the routes of the micros so you can jump on. And those are awesome to ride and fun to make contacts while you're on the bus rides as well, getting to know people. But after I served there in that first area, they shipped me out to Puerto Suarez, where I served and opened a new branch that had previously been part of another missionary area, La Frontera. And that was where I spent 6 months. Basically, from when I was 6 months to a year in my mission, I was out there. And that was an awesome experience. And I'd like to talk more about that. The differences in the areas that you serve in Bolivia can be very drastic. Santa Cruz itself, is a very densely populated city, for the most part developed, if you can say that, to, Bolivian standards. The city is very concentrated. You have brick buildings and everyone has a wall to their house, and you'll have to knock on gates. You can't necessarily go to their front door. Everybody kind of has their own, little piece of property. But when you serve on the outside of the city, it's very much open, very country, or campo, like they say there. And it's a very different experience. Working inside of the city, you're going to be working a lot with the members of the church, and trying to do everything that you can to find investigators, through different ways, whether it's, teaching an English class and having people come to that, or just going out and doing contacts. And so it's a really great experience, and you'll get to know your areas very well if you're there for a long period of time, because in the city, a lot of times you have very small areas, whereas outside, or further away from the center of the city, in those Los Anillos, the rings around the city of the highways, the further out you go, the more spread out the houses are, and the more spread out the people are. So you might have an area that, you might be there for 6 months and you'll still never be able to knock every door. Whereas in a smaller area like my first area, the first transfer that you're there, you basically have knocked every single door, or clapped outside of every single house, because that's how you will greet people. Instead of, if they have a metal gate, sometimes there'll be a lock on the gate, and you chap it onto the gate and make a sound, kind of as your knock. But for the most part, there in Bolivia, you'll just clap, and then they'll come to the door, or sometimes they'll just wave their hand like this and say, "No hay nadie," no one's home. half the time, but it's good fun going out and doing contacts and getting to know your areas and all the people that are there.